Welcome, listeners, to this swirly episode of the Full Send Rejects, where you never know what's going to happen next because, quite frankly, neither do we. You shut your mouth.
This is what happens with
Tui.
late starts.
To lead this wonderful endeavor are your host. I'm Kodak.
I'm the other Kodak.
And I'm not Kodak Billy.
On today's episode, we start with an update on a serial killer that was featured as a pre-topic banter on episode 76.
Throwback.
And also, throwback, hashtag throwback. We bring some updates, and then we dive into what is known for August, Overdose Awareness Month. Now, I know it is late into the month, and I know if you listen to us, we joke about a lot of things, especially when things get dark. It's how we cope. But if there is
Trauma
something we take
response.
seriously, yes, trauma response. Very good, Billy. But
See, I
there is
listen.
something we. Billy, not only do you listen, you're also a part of this.
Oh yeah.
We do take, as much as we joke, substance abuse. Turn your fucking phone off. The best part is the microphone won't pick that up.
Oh, it totally did. I got it.
No, but when they're recording, when the software does this thing, it takes away all background noise.
We're at a
Oh.
great start already.
I basically sound like a giant idiot right now. So, for the fourth attempt here, if there's one thing we take serious here, it is substance abuse, as Rose laughs. It's her subject. Okay. But I know we joke a lot, we kid, but as Billy just said, trauma response, and all of us here have lost somebody. We have been impacted by substance abuse. It is a terrible disease, and somehow we all came through it to be where we are right now. But along our journeys, we have lost people. So it is very important to us with this episode that we bring awareness to this terrible, terrible, tragic disease. We also, with that, understand that substance abuse can be a heavy topic, and we will be discussing how addiction affected us personally. Rose's leading discussion. I know I will be providing feedback on previous struggles I've had. Billy, I'm sure, will chip in like how he usually does with his random comments.
Yeah, I don't know how deep I want to dive into that. Sorry, guys.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
I haven't coped with it yet, so
Well, on that note, if this topic is too much for you, please do not feel down on yourself. We do not, that's not our purpose, that's not our intentions. Please go take a break, go for a run, go watch a movie, do whatever it is the fuck you do to calm yourself down and find your peace when you are in this anxiety thing.
smoke a bowl.
Smoke a bowl. Yeah, there you go. Smoke. As we're talking about substance, I just caught that halfway through. Very good, very good.
Hey, this is Doctor gave this to me.
If you listen to our last episode about microdosing shrooms, it helps. But if you come back after you calm yourself, you find your center, great, we appreciate you coming back. But if not, and it's too much for you and you need to move on, we appreciate you joining us for the time you did, and we sincerely hope you join us for the next episode. We have plenty of other content. Our library is vast and huge, has a big array of different topics. Please listen if you are curious what else we talk about.
This sounds like a breakup letter.
Listen, I've written a few, all right? I was a heartbreaker back in the day.
Letterman. I see how it is.
Not now. It's okay. I'm not writing you a letter in time, okay?
It's not me, it's you.
Hey there, Rosie. What's it like in New York City? I'm sitting right next to you and you look so pretty. Yes, you do. I do you. Yes, I would.
Anthony has been sick, so he's a little delusional.
Yeah, I spent the past 2 days terribly sick, and then I decided to celebrate me feeling better by having a few drinks. So
That seems smart.
the first thing before we dive in everything,
Perfect topic.
right? It's all about timing, all right? Is if listeners, you listen to our previous episodes with M.Wiz, who does horror-themed short stories. We are talking and having a conversation about him coming on here and sharing his stories with us as a part of a quick 20-minute mini episode, plus however long we bullshit about life and whatnot.
A collab episode.
Yeah.
Can we
We
pick
are
a week on not going through a mental breakdown, please?
absolute wait, isn't it like 3 weeks out of the year?
Huh?
Isn't that like 3 weeks out of the year?
All right, but like a not normal mental breakdown.
Oh, a mini breakdown week.
Yeah, like you can catch me on a mini breakdown, but if it's like a bad breakdown week, it's sorry, I'm not doing it.
Oh, that's fair, that's fair. Yeah, we can do that. With that, we are also building our website. We're in the alpha stage, trying to make sure everything runs smoothly, looks nicely. We all have our own little pages on there. So as we continue to work on that, we will be able to publish it for everyone. Right now, you have to have the link to access it. That just so we can just, test it. If you are interested in viewing the website and giving us our feedback, please message us. We're, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X.
It looks great.
See, Billy likes it. He's a critic. Um,
I haven't even seen it.
fantastic. On Spotify and I believe Amazon and Apple, you can message us on there and ask for it. Please, by all means, we will appreciate any feedback. We do want to make this experience the best for you as possible. The only other pre-topic banter we have today is an update, as I said before in previous episode, where there was who he is called the Kenyan vampire. He escaped prison.
Oh, I
God.
remember him.
Yeah, so his name was Collins Jumazi. He is in Kenya. For all of our listeners, if you recall, he was the person who they found that there was about 42 women dismembered in a ditch.
Yeah, that's why I remember him.
And he yeah, it's pretty significant. Once you have the high 20s, 30s, you start remembering, killers.
Yeah, you hit 42. I mean, you Jackie Robinson and shit? No.
Oh, R.I.P. Jackie. Um, so he's 33 years old, and he was part of an escape attempt with 12 other people, all who were immigrants, illegal immigrants in the country. Now, there is a conspiracy afoot where they believe other police officers embedded in this escape attempt. Now, keep in mind, this is an area where corruption is possible, so
Inside job?
it could be an inside job. It could also be someone higher up didn't want to look like he sucked at his job and just blamed it on all the people who were on shift.
Oh, that's pretty on brand.
Well, what happened was they were doing their breakfast rounds at about 5 a.m. and they noticed that the wire mesh in the courtyard, I'm sorry, was cut out. So somehow somebody got a sharp object to cut metal and they escaped. As of this recording, there's no further updates. He is out there somewhere. I know we do have some African listeners. Please be careful, be safe. Oh, let's see. What we writing in here? Shrek party. So we're having a Shrek party in a couple weeks. Not to change the tone right there, but that I just want to update on that for everyone who's curious, following that plot line. I'm sure as more details come out, I will update. I might as well do a whole episode on this guy
Might as
as we
well.
learn. But in 2 weeks, we will be having a Shrek party. Billy just got his costume along with the Blue Jay.
Oh, I got that like last week.
Well, appreciate you telling me now. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like the podcast. We learn things.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like.
We're throwing this Shrek themed party to celebrate our 1 year marriage party.
Some people call it an anniversary.
Yeah. Well, make it sound extra official.
It's a paper anniversary.
It's a paper anniversary.
It's a swamp anniversary.
We could have gone out and done something just the two of us and it would have been all romantic.
But you wanted to have a party, so here we are.
You wanted to
But
get people trapped in the fucking triangle. I see, yeah.
we're
You're a
calling it
fucking
the
sadist.
swamp.
Yeah, it's a swamp for this party, and there's new people who have no idea what it's like.
Oh my god,
Oh
so many
god,
new
every
people.
time.
It's pretty amazing how every time we find new people to get there.
What are you doing in my swamp?
I can't wait. Not only that, but the week before, 2 of us here will be in Ohio
Yep,
to celebrate my sister's
baby shower.
birthing process.
Birth her birthday and her baby shower. We're gonna
So, please, as the right wing do, please send your thoughts and prayers. I will
T's
be in
and D's.
Ohio. Yep,
where
T's
their
and D's.
strongest spice is pepper.
It's gonna be a time, but
We're going
Cincinnati's
yeah,
got some good chili, I hear.
shut your whore mouth.
Rosie makes good chili.
Rosie makes the best chili. Rosie's chili is the reason is like part of the 5 pounds of the 20 pounds I fully gained. 5 pounds of that is chili.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate her birthday, the baby shower, to celebrate the coming of little Rosie, and we're going to pay our respects
To Harambe.
to
We're going to
Harambe.
Cincinnati Zoo. I will get pictures. We're paying respects to Harambe, all right? Cincinnati ain't shit because of that fucking tragic shooting, okay?
But you're giving them money to go in the zoo.
Listen, all right? Sometimes you gotta pay tax, all right? When our forefathers first were in this country, they paid until they were able to get their own way, okay?
Just
Pay their
like
way.
protesting Chick-fil-A and be like, I just can't give it up for the nuggies.
Exactly. I might not agree with some of their policies, but goddamn, do they make good chicken?
The Lord does not like Chick-fil-A.
Hey, that is God's chicken, all right?
Well, he'd be open on Sundays then.
Apparently they want to start a streaming service, I just saw.
Yeah, I saw something for that they're starting something.
I don't know, I didn't read it, I don't care.
Holy Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is the greatest pirate ever. 9
Roberto
strikeouts.
Clemente.
No, Clemente can always be first because what he did for the international community. But Skeens is going to be a top second. It's probably going to go Clemente, Skeens.
Dude who did the LSD game.
No, 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 no. See, that's for fun. I'm gonna say McClutchin. McClutchin will be number 3rd.
I was gonna say Andrew McClellan.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got a thing on my phone that said that Pirates up 7-0. Fuck Cincinnati. They're playing against the Reds. Okay, let's have to be serious here. So, do
Aaron
we have
Judge
any?
hit his 48th home run today.
Aaron Judge ain't fucking shit. All right, come against the executioner that is known as Paul fucking Skeens. All right.
I don't think he did get a hit off of him. We'll see at the end of
Exactly.
the season.
Yeah, they played the last week of the season. They play. So we're probably going to that game.
Oh, fucker.
So, do we have anything else for pretty topic banter?
I think we're all good.
Billy, got anything else?
2 weeks without a cigarette. Fuck y'all.
Hey, good job. Hey, you know what? This is why we have this episode we're about to have to bring awareness to addiction. Congratulations on overcoming yours. If you're smoking out there, don't do it.
Oh yeah, just like, just put it down.
It's bad for you.
Addiction is fake.
Listen, Billy only did it
Yeah.
for 10 years.
Stop choosing to pick it up.
Remember we were drunk at their house, at your sister's house, and you took a smoke from CJ's cigarette?
Oh yeah, I hated it. Oh god.
No, you did not hate it at that moment. You kept going for it.
Was it? It was one of those special cigarettes.
It was a regular cigarette.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, it was one of the ones where it was a
Nope.
Mexican cigarette.
He took it out of a Marlboro pack and gave it to you, and you wanted more and more.
I don't remember that.
I d-
The last time I remember it was the Marlboro the Mexican cigarettes. They were Marlboros.
That's what I just said.
No,
You
but they
said
had the
no.
ones where they're called Mexican cigarettes. They're Mexican Marlboros where you crush the tip of it and it has a different flavor.
Billy, am I wrong? Did this conversation just happen? I said Marlboro, and she said no.
But no, there's a difference between regular Marlboro and
They were his regular cigarettes.
they were not.
Okay. For the sake of so continue. So, are we ready to go to the main event? Billy, you ready? Ooh, his internet is cutting out. What about What about percussion?
Raggy.
And he got shot out. Okay, so he'll come back when he comes back. Sorry, listeners, we are having internet issues. Don't get T-Mobile. But
Don't live in Schuylkill County.
that also. But as we get into our more serious subject of tonight, we hope you did enjoy some laughter until we get here. I want to reiterate this is about drug and alcohol substance. There's also many countless other addictions out there. I just want you to know, we want you to know, help is out there. We care about you. The fact you're listening to us, you just listen to this bullshit up until now, we love you for this, okay? If you're struggling with alcohol and substance abuse, there is a hotline, 866 899 2192. Now, after that, I would like to hand this over to my wife and our leader for this topic, the other Kodak.
My official title is the other Kodak.
You say it, okay? I used to put your name in there, and you're just like, I'm the other Kodak, so congratulations, you got what you asked for.
You just go by Kodak. And I was like, hey, I'm another one too.
Well, we got a new Kodak today, so like,
Yes, officially, federally? Just
federally, yeah, it's federal.
yeah, across the board, Cole is now an official.
Yeah. No more Burlings, Kodak.
Yes. Take that, Wall.
Florida.
Well, I was gonna say Berlin Wall, but okay.
Don't drag Germany into this.
Play Germany. I kind of don't want to start without Billy. I don't want him to just jump in the middle of it and he's like, oh, fuck.
Well, oh, he's messaging me right now. Or it's not. Well, it is. Oh, wait, here he goes, messaging again. Let's see. Maybe not. The suspense is titillating. This is why people have fucking addiction issues. They're fucking suspense.
Jesus.
What is part of the reason why I had problems? Called. Oh. Okay, he just said, okay, his internet won't let him back in. We can go on. It's cool. Okay. So we can continue. I'm
Aw.
gonna tell him I got another topic lined up. Nah. Well, you know what? Internet does, it happens.
Yeah, technical issues happen.
Ooh, but it does remind me. I came across something cool today about ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's a leftover trait from our Neanderthal ancestors, where it was like a survival thing to where they're able to focus on like multiple things. So they know, like, hey, food's getting low here, go forward. If you're scanning for a thing,
Mm-hmm.
there might be like a fucking tiger or something over here trying to kill you. So yeah, ADHD is a survival technique.
You would not survive.
Yeah, I would.
You're so cute.
I've went hunting plenty of times.
For fun, not for survival.
Yeah, but if the end result is a dead animal, I mean, does it really matter?
Well, yeah.
No, maybe you still get meat on the table. I mean, does it matter if it's for fun or for survival?
Well, survival for fun is for hunting an animal, bringing it back to your warm home where you have a place to cook said dead animal
Okay, then
and tools to skin and to do. And if you're out in the wilderness and you're just surviving, you got to build a fire and you have to skin
it's
it.
not that hard to build a fire. You also have to skin the animal if you're,
You have to eat it all at once. You can't refrigerate anything.
unless you put it in the ground far enough. That's what the Neanderthals did it.
That's very disgusting.
Well, because like there's the natural salts in the earth, kind of preserved it a little bit. But yeah,
That's neat.
but they would also eat it as quickly as they could. What we're talking about, this kind of thing, you got to think this area in Pennsylvania, when people hunted a certain way, there was an overabundance of deer.
Yeah.
I'm also very accurate with the rifle somehow with one missing eye.
You also just ate expired peanut butter and got extremely sick from it. So I very much doubt
I
your
survived.
survival.
I carried forth, okay? Listen, by the power of Master Chef and Spider-Man, I continued. Okay?
I don't think I should have eaten this peanut butter. Why? It expired 2 weeks ago.
No, my downfall was I made the sandwich and looked at the thing afterwards and it said it expired. I was like, let's see how this works.
Yeah, and then your stomach expired.
Well, that happens.
And just like Jesus, we waited 3 days and you've risen.
Holy fuck, is this a third day?
Are you ready for this?
Let's get into this.
Okay, I had to get all my laughs out of the way because this is about to get
Oh, this is gonna be fucked up.
uh, you know. So, August, as we know it, is Overdose Awareness Month, and here at the Full Sun Rejects, we full-heartedly take this seriously. Everybody has lost somebody due to overdose, and we are no strangers to this heartache. So, unlike our normal times where we go in and we sit there and we joke around things, before we start this topic here, I would like to take some time to remember some of the people that are no longer with us due to the loss of this terrible, terrible disease.
Yeah, there's a few.
Is there anybody in particular you'd like to share a story about?
I mean, the big one would be my father, but this is also a complicated one where he unfortunately overdosed the night before. If I remember the story correctly, the night before he was going to go to rehab, he just went on one last high. He got it, but this was unfortunate before I even got to know him or anything. And I mean, growing up in a small town where drugs became a rampant thing, there's friends I lost along the way. I mean, also come from the military, there's plenty of people who could have come out. I remember there's one, combine both. There's one guy I know, he was a Marine, came back, he lived in Gerardville, and I think when I was 14, an incredible guy. You would never think anything was wrong with him. He was someone who would help you no matter what, sit up all night, talk to you, whatnot. And he one day woke up with well, he didn't wake up. He was found with a needle sticking out of his arm. But more mostly, if there's one person, it would be my father.
Okay. I know we were going to discuss things with Billy, but obviously he's no longer here on this episode with us. I'm
going to message him and see if there's anyone he wants us to shoot out for him.
all right to kind of share a story about. In the meantime, just like you, I'd like to highlight a loss of a parent due to drug overdose. I've lost a few family members, cousins, an uncle, they all with substance abuse. Around the same time my mom had passed, I lost a cousin who was significantly younger, not too much younger than you would have been, than you are. He would have been only about 2 years younger than you. Um, he had a fentanyl dependency and or heroin, and there was fentanyl in it, and he ended up taking too much, and there was no amount of Narcan that could have helped him. My mom had a whole entire life full of substance abuse. It went from different types of drugs, whether it was street drugs, crack, cocaine, you name it, into where later on in her life she switched over to prescriptions, and she just could never, you know, get out of it until one day she thought she had control of it, and then she lost her battle with it. And unfortunately, it sucks to say, I grew up without my mom, so it was sad to see that because, I grew up without her because of the fact that she had a substance abuse issue. But it's sad to see that our kids will never get to know their grandparents because of that.
Yeah, it's
And you don't,
tragic.
yeah, you don't want to say, oh, why aren't my, why is, grandma or grandpa not around? You don't want to be like, they made bad choices.
No, you never want to say that.
Yeah, you don't want to be that way. You don't want to you don't want to ever want to tarnish somebody's memory because of, I mean, it's an addiction. It's a disease. It's something that you struggle with. Sometimes it's a demon that you just can't get control of, and you don't want to tarnish anybody's name, especially a loved one who just could never win battles with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at every story where we've heard about my dad. There was never anything negative said about him. It would always, he loved his life. He did this. He was silly. He just enjoyed music. It was just
He wasn't trying to go.
he fell to this, and I mean, you can even say to the two kids he was around for, he was a great father, a great dad, a great role model. I mean, even the stories I know when before I was split from him, he took me everywhere. I mean, he used to work at Burger King in high school, and he took me there with him and showed me off. And it's unfortunate I didn't get to have those memories with him, but there's a way to talk about someone in a positive light. And Billy does have somebody he wants to mention, just for their memory. It was his best friend up until his mid-20s to where he lost her. It was his best friend, Sophia. He doesn't wish to share many memories. He keeps that to himself for his personal reasons, but we're just going to give a shout out for her remembrance here as well.
It's very sad to think that the world has had so many bright lights that were dimmed before uh, it was their time to. Just because, people, sometimes your body fails you, and sometimes, especially nowadays, fentanyl has been such a huge impact in the drug, I would say, lifestyle, to where, it's being cut in.
Industry, lifestyle, stuff like that.
Well, a lot of people are cutting it in to make things last, they might dilute.
It's not so much lasting, it's just how pure it is because it's the illicit stuff gets manufactured in China, shipped down to Mexico through some of these cartels. And not every cartel deals with this. Some of them, they will like kill their own members if they're caught with it. But other cartels, like the Sinaloa cartel that we brought up, I think 2 weeks ago as a pre-topic for the one cartel boss that got arrested, they ship it, bring it to America, they cut it into street level marijuana, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine. They'll cut into everything to make it appear. And this shit is so intense. A small amount by itself, like a tiny amount, can kill you. Not just kill you, but kill others around you. And like, it's at a point where like police officers or EMS personnel who respond to overdoses, they have to wear added protection because they don't know about fentanyl. Like, they don't know there's fentanyl involved until it's too late.
Yep. I've seen a couple police cams where they didn't realize that there was fentanyl, and then the police would pass out or
Get sick
get
and
sick, and they had no idea why until they Narcan the police officer. And it's so strong and so pure that just Narcan is just not doing it anymore.
so on Narcan, do you have Narcan later in this write up?
I wouldn't say I spent too much time on it. So if you have something you want to say.
Okay. If you're against Narcan, fuck off and go learn something, okay? Narcan can help change your life. It saves life. If you just look at this person as some downtrodden drug addict piece of shit, I know some people like that. I know there's someone that probably listens to this. Go fuck yourself, okay? That is a human being. That is someone's father, mother, cousin, brother, son, daughter. Someone loves them, okay? I've once been told by an EMS person, if I find someone overdosing, I am not administering Narcan for this reason, that they should just die. They're a waste of resources. That's a human being. If Narcan was around,
There'd be a lot more dead people.
if Narcan was around, if Narcan was used, I'm saying 10, 15 years
Oh.
ago, I would probably have a dad. You would probably have a mom. Many other people will probably know their family members. You never know when someone can finally turn their lives around. And I've seen it happen where you think someone is gone. There's no more hope and they turn their lives around. Please promote Narcan. And if you're one of these people that are like, well, Narcan's free, why isn't cancer treatment free? You see the problem. Healthcare in general should be free.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I do think that healthcare is a huge problem here across the board. Copays and and hospital bills. Most people's debt are due to medical debt. Healthcare should be something that is eligible for everybody, regardless of whether it's cancer treatment or diabetes, outpatient drug facilities.
No matter what it is, we are the richest nation in history on this earth. And somehow we have these issues where people lose homes, go into poverty, which goes into drug addiction because of medical debt, because they got lung cancer at 35 and had no backup plan, or they got a brain tumor and had nothing to do, or some rare disease no one else fucking heard about, and they had spent so much on treatment. But we're the richest country. This shouldn't be a problem.
No.
And I'm someone who gets free healthcare. And I'm saying this. I see people bitch all the time. I have to pay this, I have to pay this, and I'm like, I can go get a free massage tomorrow. That shouldn't be a thing. Everyone should have that privilege.
But not everybody should just sign up to serve the country to get.
No, you shouldn't have to risk your life to be able to go get a free screen for cancer.
If only.
Yeah. Okay, there's my rant.
Back to what we were saying. Those who just don't know, that they don't know the difference between just being in an intense high or what classifies as an overdose. An overdose is something that occurs when somebody is taking some kind of substance, whether it's drug, alcohol, or a combination of both, in a quantity that overwhelms the body's ability to cope. This leads into a serious, often fatal consequence, depending on the substance involved and the amount taken, and depending on the individual's health condition that is consuming it.
So I've been there before. I was drinking really hard. I think it was for a wedding. I think so. I could be wrong. But I ended up going back to my apartment, and there's no way I should have realized what was going on. But I woke up as one of those people that was choking on their vomit, and somehow I turned over. This is when I lived in Louisiana. Not the night where I chugged a bottle of liquor. That was bad too.
Which time?
Third date.
Yeah, you've chugged multiple bottles. Third date was
That was the worst one.
that day. If I wasn't there to take care of you, I'm afraid that you wouldn't be here.
Oh, you have alcohol poisoning is number 2. Okay, well, I jumped the gun. But I'm just saying, either way, and this is a serious note, where if you're at this and you survive, go get help immediately. I didn't, and I almost suffered. But I woke up on my floor, throwing up, and I kind of found a way to roll myself over like a goddamn broken turtle to get it on the floor. I was choking on it. It was a bad time. What? The surprising thing that's the only time that happened, because as we just said, I chugged liquor before and it hasn't happened like that.
Yeah. There are many types of overdoses. I kind of just went into this and broke it down for everybody. The first one I have is drug overdose, obviously. Opiate overdose, as common with drugs like heroin, fentanyl, prescription painkillers. Symptoms include pinpoint, like the pupils, unconsciousness, and some kind of respiratory distress. There is a stimulant overdose. It involves substance like cocaine or your methamphetamines, ecstasy. These lead to high blood pressure, rapid heartbeat, and seizures, and hyperthermia.
So, I think it's important right now to dispel something. Cocaine, popularly called a party drug,
Mhm.
that shit can get out of hand really quick. Because cocaine itself, and a lot of times, you're high maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you keep doing that rapid in one night, you will die. There are people, their hearts just can't take one hit of cocaine.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yep. Miss me with that one. The next is a sedative overdose, linked to benzos and barbiturates, resulting in extreme drowsiness, confusion, and slowing breathing, kind of the point to where you kind of sedate yourself into unconsciousness. And if you take too much, you just make yourself pass out and you don't wake up.
Yeah, not a good time.
Next on the list is alcohol overdose or alcohol poisoning.
Been there.
It occurs when somebody consumes a large quantity of alcohol in such a short period of time, leading to symptoms like confusion, vomiting, seizures, slow or irregular breathing, hypothermia, and unconsciousness.
And just want to hit on the point of vomiting. There's the popular phrase boot and rally.
Yeah,
If you keep drinking after you vomit, you are in alcohol poisoning territory. And I'm not trying to sound mean or something because I've done it plenty of times.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's not good. It is a problem, and I shouldn't do it. But if you are at that point where you threw up, your body is rejecting everything coming into you. Okay. And if you are that person who sees someone throw up and they're like, oh, I'm going to drink some more, don't let them. It's not a good time. You could save their life. You could save them a very nasty morning. Okay. They might get angry. They might get pissed off. Just distract them, try and coax them down, get them somewhere safe, and kind of just call it for the night.
Have you ever tried to give alcohol Anthony a bottle of water?
No, because I'm giving you advice to me, okay?
I try. And then you smack the water out of my hand and be like, no, 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 not in my house.
Okay, well, that's a different breed of I'm a different breed of person, okay? That's okay, I'm sorry, disclaimer, if you're Irish, you can go 2 or 3 boots before, like, it's a bad
No,
idea.
nobody should do that. No one should boot and rally. And yes, there's times where Anthony does not want to drink water, but he eventually does. You just have to make him think it's a bottle of alcohol.
Yeah, that's good actually, perfect strategy. Make them think it's, like, tequila, vodka, something clear. Oh, yeah, I'll go right down.
Especially the liquid IVs. You had like 3 of them, and you went from not remembering shit to
Being wide awake.
being wide awake and alert. It's I will endorse liquid IV forever. They just I mean, or if liquid IV wants to, you know,
Sponsor us.
give us a little extra loving. I will put that shit on every goddamn episode. It's just because not even just for us after a party, but when our kids are sick, they have the liquid IV kids to where they have a fever, they're on the couch, they don't want to eat or drink, but the liquid IV is just it does so many wonders. And you went from being dazed and confused to, hey, I feel great within an hour.
What a dumb bitch.
Don't be a dumb bitch. All right, the next one on the list is a combination overdose. Mixing different substances like alcohol and opiates can increase the risk of overdose, as the combined effects can be more potent and unpredictable.
Yeah, it's never done it, I think.
Like those who would smoke marijuana, or smoke weed and be like, "Oh, when I drink, I don't even feel, you know, high, or when I'm high, I don't feel drunk." It's because one drug is the primary.
The perfect example of this would be that one scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's explaining his drug. I mean, you're laughing, but it's true.
It's just thinking about
Or
the Quaaludes.
he's explaining his drug thing and whatnot. And that's true for a lot of people where they take an upper and then a downer to mellow them out and back an upper and whatnot. I know I just said I'd never done it, but I think I did it once. Well, no, because booze is depressant, and I allegedly there might have been some powder involved, some Colombian crank, and it happened.
You've lived. I have not.
Well, we're going to go watch The Hobbit. I mean,
No, I've never allowed myself to
so why are you playing with your nose?
fixing my nose
Uh huh.
ring.
Are you sure?
Yeah, look, it's on the outside.
Oh, I see some white stuff in there.
There's no white stuff in my nose. If you see something of color, it's probably a booger.
Oh, that's what it was.
Probably, because there's no white stuff in my no. My mother
You could
was
say it was some rose gold.
ha ha ha. My mother was she was like the poster child for don't do drugs. So I led by her example. R.I.P. Mother dearest. I'll give your little nut some
Yeah, what a nut.
I'll give her some love in a little bit. I mean, it's not nothing to joke about, but you know,
No, it just like I said before we started, I'm gonna give some
we're gonna throw some things in there just to
personal experiences. Like you
well,
said, you didn't live a certain life, I did, and It's not something where I'm, like, gloating or it was great. It was like, "Hey, this shit isn't fun."
It was presented to you at a time, and because you could have easily been a statistic.
Oh, I was very, very close to being statistic, and depending on where these things go, we'll get into it, but it's more so people understand, like, this actually happens, like, this isn't I mean, if you go look of all fucking people, Jelly Roll, he's given a congressional fucking conversation, whatever it is, where they put your right hand up and
Yep.
talk. He said something like, "Almost everybody knows somebody who like, almost everybody lost somebody close to them to opiates." And for me, I was almost that person. I coulda easily been
You could have easily fell into the role.
oh, yeah.
I mean, it's for somebody with our past, our upbringings, and the things that we went through as children, we are technically we fall in the category of those kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna be those people.
See, here's the thing, though, you weren't that person. You went, like, a good route, whatever.
I never d well, I also took my experience instead of making myself a victim, I strive on making myself better.
Yeah, so you
And
did that. I was like, "I'm a victim. I'm gonna do a lot of bad things before I learn better."
I made myself the hero in my story, knowing that if I had a chance to do better, I would. And here I am, a mother of two, and I am doing better. You're doing fantastic. Regardless of anything that you've been through, you are doing fantastic.
We're just 2 different outlooks on it, where you took the immediate path of, "I ain't gonna make these mistakes," and I took the path of, "Pity me, I'm gonna go into this dark route," and by some grace of God, I fucking found something somewhere that had me push up.
I feel like you had that pity me moment and you needed to be able to be like, "You know what? I deserve this. Let me have it." And then you're like, "Well, you know what? I need to be better than
I
this."
could probably name the difference.
Like an experience that made you say, "No,
I
F
can
this."
no, I can probably name the experience that made us go to different paths. You had 2 people who picked you up out of a shitty situation and was there for you. I had someone who said, "I don't wanna be a parent to you after you just got your ass beat. Go do whatever."
Well, that also I was also removed from a very terrible situation, and then my sister and my late brother-in-law.
So I'm saying they loved you, like, unconditionally, they were there for you. I didn't have that, which is a big part of addiction in general. Like, that absent of hope, like, you had that drive put into you where I mean, I can remember the exact moments I got into stuff. I mean, it also didn't help when I was young, I was put on painkillers and they took over. Thanks, wisdom teeth.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I just
I know that they just came across.
yeah. It's hard, it's hard to put up. No, I owe so much. I owe so much to them, and it's more so for me, I could have easily been that kid still. Regardless, there's people who have they have moms and dads in a healthy home, and
That's
they
true.
still turn out to be, you know, battling their own problems. They have, mental illness is a huge part of the drug pandemic. Everything that happens you know, within a person's life, within their mind, it's not just willpower. It's mental, and you have to not
You
just
gotta have
have
the
the physical
mental.
strength. You have to have the mental strength to be able to take yourself and be better. And sometimes people just they can't win. They lose a battle within themselves.
That was me for the longest time.
And it's just no one understands that until it's too late. Again, like when after my mother had passed, she obviously she had a lot of mental issues. And she would write like these autobiography type journal entries. this is the feelings of, you know, of Jolyn, and this is, I solemnly swear this is the truest of my, like, she would write them like it looked like little, just like little feelings, like she would write things down, but they were everywhere. And just you can see how it started off nice, and then and it turns into scribbles, to whether the high took over or the mental illness took over, and you couldn't make sense of anything anymore.
Well, mental illness and addiction goes hand in hand too.
Yes, and there were so many times where you can read these, I would read these letters about how proud she was of us, even though she wasn't in our lives, and then I had letters, I was like, "What the fuck am I reading?" And she was just bashing. Like, she assumed that out of all of her children, I loathed her the most, because I just refused to, I was the only one, I s at the time, I was the only one with a child, and I didn't want my son to be subjected,
Exposed.
yeah, exposed and subjected to some type of behavior, and I didn't want it to be around him, and I didn't want her to be around him in her state. There was, 'cause she always had needles around, or always had her pills, or she was always licking her fentanyl patches, or chewing on them, or doing something that was just not appropriate for a baby to grow up and be around. I already went through it. I don't want my son to go through it as well. So I made the choice to not have her in his life, and reading in her things, and it was one of her struggles. So I felt, a part of me felt guilty for feeling like I contributed to the mental illness that made her feel like she had to dive into something to make her feel better. I mean, I know I can't blame myself for everything that she's done, but you don't realize what goes on in a person's head and why they do the things they do. But if you're ever in a situation to where you have somebody and you don't know what's going on, and you know that they're doing something that they shouldn't be, there are signs and symptoms that somebody is going through an overdose, and it's always important to look for certain, subtle clues. Difficulty breathing, shallow, slow, irregular breathing, or if they're unresponsive, the ability to wake somebody up after multiple attempts to. Seizures, sudden convulsions or loss of consciousness, skin changing, bluish gray skin, especially around the lips and the fingernails, unusual body temperature. It's either extremely high or extremely low, depending on the drug. And vomiting. Obviously, we spoke about that before, especially unconscious or semi unconscious individuals, again, depending on the drug. I feel like Wheezy from Toy Story. You hear it when
Yeah.
I'm breathing, it's like whistling.
Your voice box is broken.
Yeah, fucking Wheezy. When you do find somebody in the situation, the quickest response is to act immediately. There are actions that you should take, especially if you suspect somebody is overdosing. There are times that people would be riding a high and they get so mad when somebody helps them out or takes them out of that high, because they're like, "Oh, I just spent so much money on my drugs and you just killed it for me." Some people don't know their behavior or how they act when they're under the influence. If you can, especially how dire they are, I'll call for emergency services, 911 obviously, across the board for people who need to know that. Administer naloxone, which is also known as Narcan. If opiates are involved, that is and if it's available, administer it according to the instructions that are provided. Usually it looks like a little half nasal spray. You peel the back of it off, you spray in the nostrils. Sometimes it takes more than one.
Now, and there are a growing amount of places that offer naloxone slash Narcan for free that you can just go get a vial or two, even if you don't have someone immediately close to you that you suspect of using opiates. it's not a bad idea to go get it. You know, in this day and age, as more and more people die of fentanyl, I mean, you're more likely to into somebody, depending where you're at, who is having a drug overdose than someone having a heart attack.
Yep.
And if you see someone have a heart attack, you're gonna want to know how to do CPR.
It's
So I
always
mean,
best to educate yourself in some way, shape, or form.
if I would definitely recommend checking your local pharmacies or certain cities. I think Seattle is like one of these cities that you can go just pick a Narcan for free. Go check it out. Worst case, you can probably go to your local fire department or EMS service station and just learn about it. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to teach you.
There's a little box that it comes in, and it literally gives you step by step, and it's the simplest of instructions on how to administer if you see somebody. I know a lot of people who have a history of overdosing, or they've overdosed before and they've gotten Narcan. They usually would, if they know that whatever they're taking is too strong and they feel like they're not, it's coming on too quickly. Some people Narcan themselves, but a lot of times people would carry it on their person. So if somebody is unconscious, or is not, of
Check
sound mind,
pockets.
check their pockets, because they have a history of something like this happening, and they made the conscious decision to carry it on them in the event that something happened. If something does happen like this, stay with a person. No, don't ever leave somebody. I mean, you wouldn't leave somebody who's having a seizure. You would roll them on you'd make sure that, they're not choking, or, it's the same thing that goes with somebody who is going through an overdose. You want to stay with them, keep them, awake, talking, set them up if it's possible, and monitor their breathing until help arrives.
I would like to add to that though. If you Narcan somebody and they wake up violent, you take care of yourself first.
Yes.
You can only do so much. I would say if they're still loopy, they're going on, keep a safe distance. Okay. If you feel yourself at risk of they're going to harm you, get away. Call 911. You did your part.
Yeah.
Get away. Now, if they're off walking around, maybe keep a safe distance behind them, but stay on with 911. Tell them the location so they can get there and administer the professional help that they could provide.
Yep. Put them in a recovery position. Some people, like you said, if they're you don't want them to be choking on their own vomit. You want to keep somebody on their side, support their body, maybe have a knee bent so to keep them from rolling over on their stomach and prevent them from choking.
And if you could try and find something to place between their legs, it's just a more comfortable thing and it's a relaxed thing, a more relaxed state. I mean, think about how many of us are in our 30s, almost 30s,
Yeah.
and we're more comfortable going to bed with something between our legs. If you take a CPR class, first of all, CPR classes, a lot of them are free. Especially a lot of programs will provide for it. They'll teach you all about it the right proper way. I think the last CPR class I took actually taught about Narcan. So just throwing that out there.
Yep. And lastly, I never leave somebody alone. You If you're not sure what's going on, if you're unsure, you always call for help, and then once somebody is there, then you can, do your civic duty, and you can just kind of leave yourself there. But don't ever just assume that somebody is turned to their side, they look like they're sleeping and they're okay. You just never leave somebody alone. Now, there are ways of preventing overdose. I know that this is just kind of like your paper cookie cutter, step by step, like this may or may not work type of preventive, but it could help. Education is the biggest thing. You have to educate people at the risk, the dangers, under understanding, and anything that's associated to it with any kind of substance abuse or alcohol abuse. Education is key. They start at young age with like the DARE program.
Their program was actually proven to increase chances of.
Because they tell you all about it.
Well, it was because it was like connected to the fact that they teach you that weed will be this terrible, destructive thing. And then most people smoke weed, and it's like,
If
"I
you lied
didn't do
about
this."
this,
Well, that's what I lie about, so yeah.
yeah.
But there are still points in there.
Yeah, it's just the education of it. Same thing goes with it doesn't just end with schooling. You have to educate yourself with everything and being able to explain the dangers of somebody who said, "Hey, I may want to try this." Hit them with some hardcore facts like, like you said earlier, some people their heart they don't people don't know they have a heart condition until they think, "Oh, I'm going to go to a party and I'm going to do a bump." And then their heart can't take it and they go to cardiac arrest. Be Some people are just not made for it. And you want to make sure you know everything about things before you make that decision to cross that line because you may not be able to come back from it. Harm reduction, practice such things as using drugs in the presence of others or testing some kind of substance for potency and not mixing.
And they do offer kits you can go online, if I don't have the website on hand, but where you can test your drugs for fentanyl,
Yep.
whether it's you have heroin,
It's like a test.
cocaine. Yeah, you can test it. If it turns like blue or something, it's contaminated with fentanyl. So just throwing that out there. Don't do drugs to begin with, but if you're doing them, you can get tested for fentanyl.
I mean, a lot of people's like, not saying to go out and, just do some hardcore stuff, but, they always say like, oh, if you're gonna, people are like, oh, like even, I'm not even gonna, let me make it kindergarten here and say cigarettes. If someone, I know, but cigarettes,
Nicotine.
listen, that's deadly too, in my opinion. But, like there's kids who want to smoke, but, they always say, oh, if you're going to smoke, you tell your kids, let me know. Because if you're going to try something, I'd rather you try it at home or drinking. I'd rather you drink at home other than going to a party because you never know what it is. And that's kind of like where that's getting at to where, like shrooms. Like a lot of people don't know how, if they want to try it, there's so many, like we discussed in our episode last week, there's so many health benefits to them, but you have to make sure you never know what kind of
Trip.
trip you're going to have if you take too much. Are you going to be in that dark corner of your mind, the elephant graveyard, or are you going to be in Toonville, singing a happy little song? You never know how it's going to be. So if you're going to do it, make sure you do it with somebody that knows what they're doing.
That is a big theme when it comes to hallucinogenics, psychedelics. They'd say if you're gonna do it for the first time or you have done it in a while, have someone there who is sober but is experienced in psychedelics,
Yeah.
which is probably a good rule of thumb for opiates too. If you're going to shoot up heroin or something,
I mean,
have
we're
someone
not
sober there.
encouraging. Yeah.
No, but we also understand the reality of what life is, and some people are. You might be fucking curious. I don't know. Again, don't it's not worth it. Please do not do it.
No.
But if you are, have someone there who is sober who can be there next to you.
Yeah. Access to treatment. Encourage those with some kind of substance abuse or disorder to seek professional help, providing them with necessary resources. Some places go by insurance. But we understand that a lot of people don't have health insurance. So a lot of these places you pay out of pocket. And then there's a lot of state issued places for those people who are either they're veterans or homeless and they don't have any insurance and they go through the state. There's always resources, there's always ways around it. I feel like that's something that also should be given to you.
I mean, there is always Narcotics Anonymous. Hmm?
Yeah.
It's like AA, it's just NA. You go there, you don't have to give your personal information, but it's a good place to share some stories and work on your way back to being able to redeem your life.
And be encouraged by other people who understand what you're going through. A lot of people, that's the biggest thing that I can ever say is those anonymous support groups. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's so hard to get clean. You don't know what it's like." Well, those people do. They understand what it's like to be clean, stay clean in the struggles of every single day, wanting to just slip into that alternate reality of what it was like when you weren't fighting to stay strong. And sometimes it helps to have somebody who's in your corner and who has a similar urge or need or understands the struggle of every day. And you find people to help you latch on to sobriety. All right. And we talked about it before, the Narcan availability. There are certain places that let you have access to those at risk, and some places do give those out and they have the availability. I did want to talk about global statistics. I know we talked about like saying that everybody in the world has been touched by somebody who has lost another person. Global overdose deaths estimate to be over 500,000 deaths worldwide. And each year they're contributed to mostly deaths used by opiates. It's 70%. 70% of 500,000 is related to opiate
Jesus Christ.
involved deaths. Yeah. United States, the total overdose death it ranges. I did a couple years to kind of show you an example. The deaths they've gone up significantly. According to the CDC, there were over 111,000 overdose deaths in 2022. It was a record high for the country. In 2023, there was a 3% decrease with 543 deaths. 107,000. So still a high number, but 3% is 3%. I'll take it. However, that is a terrible number.
Insane.
Opiate overdose deaths, particularly the synthetic opiate like fentanyl, like we were talking about before, are the primary drivers to these deaths. Over 75% of overall drug overdoses in the US in 2022 were involved in that particular drug there. Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine, which, like we said before, is a serious and significant contributor to the rise of deaths, especially in 2022, where it was involved more than, like I said, 70% of the overall deaths. Stimulant overdoses involving stimulants like cocaine, methylphenidate, or methamphetamine, and they've also increased. More people are switching their drugs over to the more uppitys. Your methylphenidate and methamphetamines, you're like a lot of people are they're changing it up with. My mother was one of them who you can't mix your uppers and your downers. I mean, her toxicology report had it had the Xanax and it had the Adderall. It had a whole. I mean, there's other stuff that was in there, but the high number of uppers and downers, your body doesn't know how to react, and it's insane to think of. Demographic trends, age is a big one. Overdose are most common in adults from 25 to 54. However, there has been a notable increase of overdose death amongst adolescents and older adults. If you go by gender, men are more than likely to die of a drug overdose than women. Men account for approximately 2/3 of the drug overdose deaths in the US overall. If you want to compare that demographic to race and ethnicity, overdose deaths have been affected to a certain radical and ethnic groups, particularly non-Hispanic Blacks and Native American communities, where the rates of overdose deaths have risen sharply in recent years.
And that's also connected a lot more to poverty rates too.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't take much looking into American history to realize we were not that cool to blacks or Native Americans.
No.
I mean, it also doesn't take that much thought to go look at inner cities, Chicago, Memphis, Scranton.
I get that.
Well, okay, I'll let you get to that in a second, but it is just these two groups we beat the shit out of,
Yeah.
basically. And
They kind of had nowhere to turn.
I don't know if you get into the whole mental health aspect of it, but when you have no hope, and I'm talking to somebody who done drugs, when you have no hope,
You're like, fuck it.
the big draw of opiates and cocaine and drugs and alcohol is it gives you that little sense of relief, and you know you're fucking your life up, but you do not care because it's just that relief,
Yeah,
and that's what unfortunately what these groups face with.
absolutely. I did the regional differences. The overdose deaths rates are significant across each region of the U.S., like the Appalachians and the parts of the Northeast. Certain Western states all have higher overdose death rates, like you were saying before. Like it depends on your urban versus your rural. Those are severely affected by overdose crisis. The dynamics can differ because each one of them face their own challenges, such as limited access to treatment, emergency services, or just a low poverty area.
Well, to back up the point that poverty plays a lot part into it, if you go look at West Virginia, 100 years ago, it was this part of the center of this country because coal, and not just coal, but anthracite coal, which was some of the best burning coal. And as we moved to other sources of fuel, West Virginia became very impoverished. And West Virginia is where a lot of fucking opiates hit home. A lot of drugs, heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamine. You drive through some small areas of West Virginia, you will see fentanyl country at its finest.
Mhm. I also want to give a nice little fuck you to the thing that everybody likes to blame, which is the global pandemic, COVID-19. A lot of the numbers that are so high in 2022 are statistically due to the fact that during the COVID-19 pandemic, it kicked up the overdose crisis to a whole nother level. People were home, they were depressed, they had no jobs, it kind of just it fucked with your mental. You had nothing else better to do. And it sharply caused the overdose the overdose rates to just shoot through the roof between 2021, and then you had that astronomical rate in 2022, just because people went from recreationally doing things because they had nothing better to do to it becoming a day-to-day necessity.
Not only that, but also
Mm.
look at how strained the medical system was
Yep.
already. We had ambulances all the time for people not being able to breathe. Hospitals packed, a lot less resources, and there's not the available resources there should be for opiates to begin with, and it became more strained to where they weren't able to help people as fully as they were able to already.
Yep, and the biggest thing, not only that, but the mental that is involved in that, to have social isolation completely, especially if you didn't live with anybody. I was in that point in time where I had a house full of people. I had, so it's not like I was completely by myself all the time. You have reduced access to treatment services. Like you said before, it was limited before COVID-19. I mean, can you imagine having limited access and then the only reason why people wanted you to go to the hospital is if you were dying from COVID-19?
I mean, I worked in the hospital. We had we had to move floors because there's so many patients being treated for COVID-19 where they couldn't breathe and couldn't just live by themselves. They need to be
Yep.
incubated and all these other things. It was insane.
Yep. Again, I am going to highly put this out there. The prevention for Narcan. There is so many different ways. There's so many distribution centers that will hand this out to everybody. It is a widely used overdose preventive, and it has saved countless lives. It has estimated that tens of thousands of overdose revivals and reversals have been contributed to the fact that somebody had administered some kind of Narcan or life-saving antidote. So you gotta think tens of thousands of people could have been gone if it wasn't for this drug. So I say it, I don't only say it loosely. I know we had this discussion before. I am a strong advocate that believes that people should have free across the board. Me and you are constantly talking about how, where you say you want to move to Canada because they have free healthcare. It's just coming from somebody who has free healthcare.
Such a good time. Oh my god. I might go get a massage tomorrow after work.
Shush, shush. But I just stress it because there's so many people in our lives that could have had a second chance of being here if somebody or if they had
Access to this.
access to a life-changing drug. Now, whether or not you believe that drugs impact the economy, the cost of this crisis has been a financial burden all across the United States. With estimates ranging from 500 billion to 1 trillion annually, accounting for healthcare costs, lost productivity, and criminal justice system expenses. I know we've been on here talking about how helping somebody, calling for resources, calling for help. A lot of the times our police officers are going on these distress calls, and it's one of those things to where they won't let you in the house if they're in the middle of something. Like, if someone says, "Oh, like, no, I'm good," but the officer walks away, doesn't do the paperwork because there was nothing to file, because the person wouldn't let them in the house, they wouldn't let them do anything. Because a lot of people don't want to get arrested because they still have possession of this drug on them.
Yeah.
So they would turn somebody away. No, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine. And then 3 days later, a loved one hasn't heard from them and they find them unresponsive on their couch.
This is why I'm a big proponent of they shouldn't treat it as a legal issue. They should treat it as a medical issue.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's freaking out because they took too much of something. Don't arrest them because they're holding more. Get them help.
Yeah. Well, I was reading something regarding that actually, that there has been efforts for saying, "Hey, let me help you," you know, but they're gonna as soon as you Narcan them and they're off that high, as soon as you leave, they're gonna take whatever drugs
Oh
they
yeah.
had and they're gonna do the same thing all over again. So the energy that you put into helping them, saving them, and you hear them yell at you about ruining their high and they spend all that money on the drugs and they were perfectly fine, they're gonna turn around and do the same thing. So a
It's a
lot of times,
big morality issue.
yes. And the cops say that they do that to make them go to, like, if they arrest them for possession, they then have that drug, they flush it, they hold them.
See,
I
to
mean,
counter that, there are some countries, I think a state does this too, where you can still get, quote, arrested for having possession, but you don't go to jail. You go to rehab. You go talk to doctors. You go talk to physical therapist people, whatnot. You don't get a choice to just walk out. You are there. You stay.
well, that's another flaw I feel like we have in our system here is especially any type of, like, whether it was a mental health facility, some kind of psych or a drug facility, people shouldn't, if they're being put in, they shouldn't be able to check themselves out without passing some kind of psych exam
See,
and checking their mental.
have to realize why it's like that though, because we used to have it where you weren't able to, and a lot of people got abused that way.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's a habit, you know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people
Again,
you
it's
302 somebody 5 times, maybe they should say, okay, court mandated, you have to stay here for X amount of time.
well, you can't get court mandated now. It's a thing.
I know that, but some people want people to do it willingly. They want them to it because you're not really like if you're punishing somebody, unless they know what they're being punished for. Like if Cole breaks a toy and you're like, go to your room, you're grounded, instead of explaining to him, hey, we're upset because you broke this. You have to learn that this was wrong. You shouldn't have done this to have that action. If they don't know what they're doing wrong and there's no consequences or there's no lesson to be learned, they're just gonna do it all over again.
Did you just compare punishing a kid to like the epic crisis of drug addiction?
I did it in a way I did it as bluey as possible. 'Cause that's the way you would understand.
Banda does cocaine.
I guarantee if they put drug awareness in a Bluey episode, you would definitely learn a lesson.
I lived the lesson. What the fuck you
But
learned a lesson?
you
I
just
lived
proved
it.
my point. You had to learn the lesson.
No one gave me a lesson. I just did it
You gave
myself.
yourself a lesson. You self-punished
How do I self-punish?
by learning that drugs are bad and you shouldn't do them.
That's not a punishment. That's a
Sh Oh, shush. Now, supporting those in recovery from substance abuse of any type is crucial for their success and their well-being. Recovery is a lifelong process. It's not something that happens overnight. Overcoming an addiction and building a happier, healthier, more fulfilling life is something that you have to be able to do from the point you decide to do it until the last breath you take.
It never ends.
No, it's a constant struggle. There's days that are easy, there's days that are bad, there's days it feels like you're absolutely not going to make it. There are a few key ways to support somebody who is going through this recovery process. Understanding their recovery, educate yourself, right? Learn about their addiction, about their recovery process, the challenges that they are facing, and know that any help that you provide is some way, shape, or form, some kind of support. And recognizing the complexity of their situation, understanding that recovery is not easy and that it involves setbacks, it involves relapse, and all of these things are a normal part of the journey.
I would like to add something.
What's that?
It is, and this has come from someone who I just made very clear that I used to use a lot of substances. There's only so much one person can take when it comes to working with somebody who has addiction problems. There's only so much of your soul you can give. If you're at a breaking point, because I've seen it happen where people give and give and give, and then they end up falling in a situation where they're now the addict. Get to a spot where you can walk away and be like, I did everything I could.
A safe
It
pocket.
is an incredibly hard thing to do. But the fact of the matter is, some people do need to hit that rock bottom before they come back. But that is something you need at a point where you feel okay, where you did everything possible. I have been there where I tried to help people over and over, and it took a lot more out of me than it should have. Now, some people came back, some people unfortunately didn't. Some people came back, and I don't even know anymore. It is what it is. But you do not need to give your entire life into saving somebody.
Don't lose yourself in the process.
Do not lose yourself. Do not traumatize yourself. Do not, there's a difference between, oh, hey, this person is generally trying. Let let them sleep on the couch for a night or a week or whatever you're comfortable with. There's between that and let me give this person money, and oh, I don't hear from them 3 days. Oh, let me give them more money. Or there's a difference between promoting their behavior and actually helping them.
Don't get
Yeah.
lost in the lines, the crossfire of,
Set boundaries.
yes.
Hey, you do this, I will not help after this. That is okay. You did what you can do.
You can be a supportive friend, coach, and an ally, but you don't let the person manipulate the situation. You know, a lot of times people want somebody to be clean and want them to be sober so much it consumes them, and people pick up on that. Like you said, throwing the money, not seeing them for 3 days. Oh, they're clean now. They're not on a bender. And they come back saying, "Hey man, I'm hungry. I don't have any food. Can you give me some more money?" And then you don't hear from them for another 3 to 4 days. And how many times are you going to watch somebody do that?
Look out for the excuses.
Yeah.
If you're getting excuses, they're not trying.
Yes.
That's where you begin to pull back a little bit. You can stay in their life, pull back a little bit and just see how they you can't, because if you keep going, like, if you know they're giving excuses and that gut feel is telling you, "Hey, they're taking advantage," you are contributing to them abusing drugs.
You can't force somebody to get to correct themselves. It has to come within themselves first. They have to have a solid belief in themselves that this is something that they wanna do. Because if they don't, it's not happening. If they don't wanna do this for themselves and to make that decision to better their lives in a clean, sober way, but they give you the false hope of that they are, it takes a lot out of somebody who is putting all their faith in somebody who is not really trying. I mean, the perfect show for this to compare to would be, what is it? Was that Euphoria?
Euphoria with Zendaya,
Yep. How many times is she, "Oh, I'm clean, I'm clean, I'm trying, I'm trying, I'm trying," and then
she's still doing it.
yeah, and the mom and the sister, you just saw that they were just
Through the season, they
exhausted
just
and
gave up.
yeah,
They couldn't keep up with it.
yeah, there was no winning. And you don't wanna put yourself in that situation. But you have to create a supportive environment. Encourage healthier lifestyles by promoting activities like a supportive in a physical manner or in mental health, such as exercise, balanced diet, and adequate sleep. Sleep is big. You want to foster a positive environment, create a home or social environment free from triggers such as alcohol, drugs, or anything that could lead to a relapse. Like you don't want to take somebody who's been trying to be sober and then take them to a party where other people can be doing those things. You want to refrain from taking them to social events that could trigger them into relapse.
Nature is amazing.
Oh,
Just throwing it out there.
outside.
Walks, breath or fresh air, stuff like that. And if it's a late night, throw on the video games, throw like an old school Golden Eye or some whatever you have. Take that time away, take that mind off, put on a something to card games, something that just
Reset the mood.
I mean, I remember I used to know somebody who was big into drugs, and when they're trying to get clean, we would spend hours a night playing Pokemon because that's what kept things away.
And last but not least, like you mentioned, set boundaries. While being supportive, it's important to set your own healthy boundaries to protect your own well being to avoid enabling behaviors.
It's like when you board on an airplane and they say, "Hey, if we're in a situation and the air mask come down, secure yours first before you help somebody else." The same concept goes with support, helping someone through addiction. Make sure you're okay first.
Emotional support is a big one. You want to be a good listener. You want to offer a non-judgmental ear. Sometimes just being there to listen to somebody and their struggles, it makes all the difference in the world. Show them empathy and patience. Understand that recovery is difficult. Be patient with that person, regardless of how big or how small the progress is going. And any encouraging words of wisdom or empathy can make them feel like they're being understood and supportive. So you want to feel that support.
And you don't necessarily have to be like, "Oh, hey, you're 3 days off of heroin. Good job." You can just be like, "Hey, you look better. Hey, you did this small thing to the insert whatever." I don't know. But just small little things can go a big way.
Yeah. Celebrate milestones. Acknowledge the celebration of achievement, no matter how small. Positive reinforcement can also boost motivation. Another is at least practical support. You assist with daily tasks and you want to be able to help them with transportation to their therapy sessions, help them manage their finances, find employment, and and just be there for that person because all this can reduce the stress and have them and be an aid to their recovery. You want to encourage them to continue treatment, support them by participating in their group therapy sessions or counseling, or go to their small groups such as AA or NA. Even if you're not somebody who needs it yourself, always be somebody and be a support system and go to these. Maybe you learn something on and understand why the struggle is the way that it is by being supportive and understanding their point of view and why their journey has brought them to this moment, and just be a helpful supportive friend. Again, always set your boundaries, but for somebody who is struggling to stay sober, AA or NA, somebody coming with you to show to show support, it's like going to your kid's soccer game. You want somebody to cheer you on. You want somebody to root for you. And even though you're not somebody who's went through that, you're basically that personal cheerleader, that sideline, cheer section. You want to see them succeed, and by showing up and being there does a hell of a lot more than what people think it does.
Yeah, that goes a very, very long way. When sincerely, the only reason I got off of narcotics was it took one person to fully just believe in me and back me up. And it was hey, come here for the weekend, purge everything out, and literally just tell me why you're doing this, and I got you. And that's all it took.
You want to help with developing routine. The hardest part about falling off the horse is getting back on to a clean and stable routine. You want to be able to encourage and establish some kind of structure, hobbies, self-care, work, going back to school, whatever it is to keep your mind eye on the prize, keep your mind focused and sharp.
Something to produce that natural what that the chemical that makes happiness.
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin?
Oxytocin.
That might be it. S Like you said, hobby, go a walk, learn some artwork, poetry, whatever can create something you're interested in, music, anything, and don't even care if someone likes it or not, just go do it. If it produces that natural chemical in your brain where you do not need to rely on drugs or opiates, anything like that, go for it.
Encourage social connections. Support groups involved, like connections in social media, Facebook, all platforms now have you know, private groups that people can talk about things in. Encourage people to participate in small groups where they can connect to others who understand their stories, their struggles, their experience. You want to be able to rebuild relationships, help them repair and rebuild relationships that may have been damaged during their time of addiction, trying to help them reconnect with, especially family members. You kind of sometimes you burn bridges, but doesn't mean that you can't take some rope and some wood and build a way back across it. And you also want to promote healthy social activities. Like you said, you want to be able to go and do things that involve your sports, volunteering, career things, like pursue things that just makes them happy. You also wanted to talk about some relapse prevention. Learn the warning signs. You want to be able to make yourself aware of things that might indicate potential relapse, such as changing in behavior, mood swings, withdrawal from social activities, or like you said before, excuses.
Excuses are big.
Yes. Develop a relapse plan. You work together with somebody, create a plan for what to do if a relapse occurs, and include a point of contact, steps to take to get back on track. Always be prepared for setbacks. Understand that relapse is common, and it's something that happens during recovery, and it is a learning experience for everybody involved. Please offer some type of encouragement or support to help people get back on the right path. Another big thing is take care of yourself. Seek support for yourself. Sometimes someone in recovery can be emotionally taxing. Consider joining a support group for support groups.
They
Uh,
exist.
yes, it's the groups for families and friends who want to talk about their mental stability and their journey through helping a loved one go through the steps of relapse recovery and sobriety. There is ways to always, it's a therapeutic group for groups. Practice self care on yourself. Ensure that you're taking care of your own physical and emotional health. It's easier for you to support others when you're taking care of your own body and mind. Know your limits. It is fantastic that if you're somebody who wants to help somebody, but know your limits. It's important to recognize when professional help is needed, and you need to know when your help ends and a professional needs to step in, and you need to encourage somebody to seek more professional help for their needs because it's beyond what you can provide. Don't strain yourself. Professional support. I am a huge advocate for therapy.
Me too.
It is such a wonderful,
Phrase.
it is just no, it's just outlook on everything.
Hakuna McTherapy.
It helps you so much, whether you think you need it or not. Before you know it, a couple months, a year, you realize how much you've grown within yourself. So therapy and counselors encourage individuals to continue working on their addictions. There's specialists who offer tailored advice and strategies to help them stay on their path and help guide them through their mental and physical journey. Medical assistance, if necessary, you can help them access medical treatments for, you know, reoccurring or co-occurring mental health disorders that are common, most not with people who are trying to go through recovery. Again, as I wrap this up, we did talk about a lot here, our own personal things that we threw in, and just a lot of little educating, tidbits about recovery. I just want to say for the one, like, just kind of just reinnovate and just say, support somebody who's in recovery. There's a lot of things that go into people who struggle with substance abuse and alcohol abuse. Never judge a book by its cover. Always support somebody in recovery. It requires a combination of emotional, practical, social support, along with understanding of their addiction. Your support can be a powerful tool in helping them maintain their recovery and build a happier, healthier life.
So we thank everyone who stuck through with us on today's heavy episode. Just to reiterate what she said, we've both been touched by the struggles of addictions. We've both seen it. We both missed out on experiences with parents because of it. If you are listening to this and you are struggling with alcohol, opiate addiction, or any other, there's how many other addictions out there? Please get help. You are someone's parent. You are someone's friend. You are someone's child. Someone loves you and wants you to get help. If you are seeing or know somebody who is going through this struggle, please just reach out. It starts with a conversation. You don't need to go straight to, oh, you need help. Just ask them how their day was. Tell them they did something good today. Give them that spark of hope that might just blossom into a whole new life, because you might just save their life. And if you are struggling, there is, once again, the alcohol and substance abuse hotline. You can call anytime, 866-899-2192. There's also how many other options out there. Most cities have places you can go to, places you can call by trained professionals that will help you. And I don't even care if you do not feel comfortable reaching out to these places. Contact us if you need to. We're experts in this. You gathered this. We've been through it. We had relatives and friends go through this. Some that made it, some that didn't. You heard me. I've used substances in my own life to cope with life going wrong. We know what it's like. We will be more than glad to help you and help you find resources in your area if you cannot do the research yourself to get the help you need. No matter what you think, There are people out there who care about you and love you and want you to get help. And we thank you for taking the time to listen to us. We know we usually were joking in the first half hour, 40 minutes of this episode, we were, and it got serious. But we thank you for listening to us, and we want you all to succeed. We will be back next week with more content. And if you're out there struggling, if you're out there helping somebody, do the right thing and fucking send it.
Full fucking send it.